This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's just so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
This is a battleground. This has been a battleground for season onto what is now a new season. The first round of the championship last week proved to be what many people expected out of the racing that we got. But here, round two, we head to probably the greatest track you have never heard of or never had the opportunity to see in its new form. It's Kyalami, it's South Africa's finest, and this is round two of the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Championship. €500 prize pool on the line, and we are here streaming live to you on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on Twitch as well with ESTV, the Esports Television Network, our brand new partnership here today with The Race on YouTube, with motorsport.tv, and with TVM Sport as well in Malta. My name's Jake Sperry. I'm joined alongside by Kieran McGinley here to bring you through the showcase of what will be a wonderful two races tonight, 15 minutes in length. And the one key here, Kieran, that we keep seeing time and time again is that this is a championship which is all about getting yourself out of trouble early and then finding yourself with room to go and attack.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the stream. And wherever you are watching, we hope you're enjoying this Friday broadcast. Yes, of course, we're heading towards the Kyalami circuit. And yes, sprint racing offers that real challenge. There's plenty of points up for grabs. And as you previously mentioned, two 15-minute sprint races with a 15-minute qualifying session preceding that, which decides the order for both of those races. So it is a critical qualifying session. But of course, we've got 15 minutes worth of practice coming up so that we can get an idea of who chooses which car. Because, Jake, the drivers don't have to set their loyalty to a certain manufacturer.
Absolutely not. And in the first round of the championship, we saw a lot of drivers go and pivot over towards the AMG Mercedes. We expect there will be a different pivot today as they challenge the Kyalami circuit. If you haven't already, though, ladies and gentlemen, you can head to worldproracing.com/events if you want to get yourself signed in for races on all sorts of different platforms. It may be here on PC, on PS4, on Xbox One. You have your opportunity to challenge yourself on a whole range of titles to go and get that moving forward. To do that, worldproracing.com/events. That is the place to go. In the next couple of moments, we'll be heading down to the track to see how practice is getting on here and how this championship actually forms as we head into this one, as we see this wonderful Kyalami circuit right now in all of its form. Looking at Sheldon Muscat here, currently classified in 8th position in the Audi, and it looks like Audi was the most popular choice here today from many a driver. But Kieran, let's talk championship after the opening round that we had. It is Redouane Messaoud for Ashtois, who has himself up at the very top of this field at the moment. He's currently the top overall. He's in his fabled Porsche, which he won his opening championship in, and he is already 39 points clear of the next nearest competitor on 94 points.
Yeah, and 39 points sounds like a lot, but let's take you through the point scoring system. 35 points for a race win. Top 15 will score points, with second place scoring 30, third place scoring 25. That goes all the way down to P15 scoring 1 point. Then in qualifying, you'll get 10 points for a pole position, 2 points for leading the most laps in the Grand Prix, or in the race, I should say, 5 laps for the best lap in the race, and 5 extra points as well for being the most consistent. Now, Jake, for those who aren't familiar with Assetto Corsa, when we say most consistent, what are we actually looking for? What do we actually mean?
Well, what do we mean by consistency? Assetto Corsa Competizione has this really cool feature, which is consistency. It's effectively a number generated by how much you're hitting every apex and how much you're staying on the racing line. And the most consistent driver will be the one with the highest percentage value. That could be anywhere between 0% and 100%. But traditionally with racers, and especially in this championship, you see numbers like 98, 99% right up there at the very top. So drivers are going to have to be incredibly on it here today to make sure that they are running the lines that they know they can. We're currently on board with Redouane Messaoud heading through the middle sector of this lap, the very difficult left and right corners out here on circuit there. That is the S's section that he has just gone through, and this leads to Leakop here, this tough turn 10. The track falls away from you as you try and put the power down for turn number 11, and this back half of the circuit is going to be really key as we focus here on free practice. This is the mineshaft corner, turn 12. You have a small lift as you go on through before you find yourself on the brakes for this really, really treacherous corner. You can see Red One taking a very wide entry apex, leaving himself as much to attack on the exit as possible of the Crocodiles here before Cheetah. Turn 15, so easy to kick yourself out wide and make things all run into troubles before Ingwa, the final corner out on track of this 16-turn behemoth of a circuit. And it is worth noting that Redouard Messaoud is effectively in the home car at this circuit. Of course, Kieran, this track is now currently owned by Porsche.
Yes, it is. So trying to fly the flags of Porsche here tonight in a sea of Audi, it looks like. There are a couple of other outliers as well. Jimmy Holmes sticking to his regular Ferrari in the 777 car there. There it is, the AWE bright green car as he makes his way now onwards towards the Crocodiles in towards turn 13. Currently P7, 40.9 is his best lap so far. But then you've also got Thomas and Jan-Nicolas Erbrich there, both in Lamborghinis. So interesting choice for those drivers as well. We haven't seen much of the Lamborghinis in this series so far this season, but when we have seen them, they haven't really been in the top 10. Is this the car they need to be choosing here, Jake, or are they just trying and buck the trend, go for something different? Because if it's different and it works, it's going to pull you up the order.
Well, I'm looking at the drivers who have chosen this sort of rampaging bull that is the Lamborghini. And you see Nathaniel Thomas, who looked very, very strong, consistent last time out at Imola, and also Jan-Nicolas Erbrich. And that's a really big key when you look at this one. So, Kieran, when you see a driver like Jan-Nicolas Erbrich, who has been loyal to the Lexus for so long when it's come to this championship, who makes his first switch and this one over in the LL racing car goes to the Lamborghini, what does that say as a statement?
It sort of says that the loyalty has to come after the actual performance of the car. So clearly Jan-Nicolas is thinking ahead and trying to think, well, actually the Lexus that I had that I'm so attached to might not actually be the quickest here. He's gone for the Lamborghini, so let's see if this gamble, if this switch is going to pay off. And we look through the order, I can't see a Lexus through the entire field, so maybe that's oh yes, my apologies, you can see one out there. So in Mangione, they're currently second place in the championship, but one Lexus out of the entire field, it's not a great look for the Lexus, but there is still one driver who's looking to try and be a little bit loyal here, and that is Mangione. Littlewood then in second place for the PC Boys Esports Audi as he now makes his way inwards through the couple of left-handers here. And of course, we now make our way onwards. It's a very dull track here, but you can just see in that top right-hand corner a little couple of statistics about the track. Throughout the whole of practice here, we're expecting this kind of overcast weather. Track temperature, though, 34 degrees. And according to that graphic, Jake, we're in optimum range of this track, so we should be seeing some quick lap times.
We certainly should do at this stage. This is the first time that we've seen Littlewood out here racing with us here at World Pro Racing. He'll be looking to try and pilot the number 12 Audi as far forward as he possibly can through this field and try and get as many points as possible for the championship picture. Of course, it is going to be two 15-minute races, and 15 minutes around here definitely seems to go by in the blink of an eye, and I do expect to see quite a lot of close quarters combat around this circuit, making sure that everyone is giving as much as they possibly can. But let's also talk about this first sector around this place, Kieran, because this is a track which has very much distinct identities. Of course, this track has been reworked so many times over the years. The only part of the track which was from the original layout of this circuit, which used to be run in the Formula One World Championship, is from turns 5 to turn 7. Out of that, you're not getting much of the same track anymore. Up the Juxkay Suite and into turn 5. This is the most northern point on the circuit, that turn 5, and this is where the old back straight is. But of course, in the old days, they used to run that entirely the opposite direction.
They did, and of course back then when it was first built in 1961, only just over 4 kilometres now. It's much more than that, as we just see Marcus Littlewood now making his way through the clubhouse corner here. There's a couple of curbs here you've got to be really careful of because they can bite back. You've got to be really careful as we head now through the S's. And I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a track here that's got a lot of character. It's a nice flowing circuit, couple of heavy braking zones in towards Ingwer and towards Crowthorne as well. You've been warning me as well. The drivers will probably getting or missing that first braking zone in towards turn 2, because turn 1, the kink is that fast right-hander. You are not lifting off through there whatsoever. There's Nicholas Hillebrand there in the Red Comet Racing number 6 Audi. He's currently in 11th place so far in this practice session, of course. Some drivers will be sort of holding back for now. They'll be saving their best lap for qualifying, as drivers always do, but they still will be pushing. He makes his way through the final corner now and on towards that start-finish straight out of Ingwer and towards the start-finish line. Let's see what sort of lap time he can set on the board. I don't think he's improved on that one though. Stays at a 1:41.0, but you can see the fastest lap of the session so far, a 40.3 from Redwan Messaoud in the number 1 Porsche, of course, last series champion in season 1. So he will adorn the number 1 car. And then Littlewood in second place. Just under 0.3 of a second separates them. And Messaoud only 0.2 off his best lap time in that last lap.
And I tell you what was really key about those practice times is if you look at what Redwan Messaoud did better than anyone else, it was the middle sector where he really shined. Now, let's keep an eye on Luke Whitehead here. It's a team change for him. He's joined the Ashtois team, the French-based outfit. So the Englishman joins on in with that, which is going to be something where you say, well, I know you're quick and I want your ideas. I think that's what Redwan Messaoud's looking for. A driver who is quick, who can help complement him in this sort of championship. As we say, it's almost like the Royal Rumble. It's every man and woman for themselves here in terms of this sort of race. But it's always helpful to have a teammate alongside you to go out there, to go and help you in terms of the development of the setup during the week, to go out there to race and make something happen. A little bit different, though, when you have one driver in an Audi and one driver in a Porsche.
Yeah, that can get a little bit, watery there. However, the idea is still the same. You're looking for the best to get out of the car, and with a team like Ashtois behind you, you're going to get the best out of that car possible. And as you rightfully said, Jake, this is a drivers only championship. So when we're talking about the likes of Ashtois Racing, this is just the team that the driver is affiliated with. No points get scored for any teams racing here tonight. There is Patel then in the number 95 PC Boys Audi as he now makes his way through Ingwer and on towards that start-finish line as he pulls over then to the left-hand side of the track and decides to go back towards the pit lane. But at the moment then, just 2.5 minutes of practice left, and it is still Messaoud on top, championship leader at this moment in time. Littlewood making his debut here tonight, and we've also got Whitehead in 3rd place in this practice session, 4th place in the championship so far, but of course we've only had the first round at Imola, the first 2 races, which were pretty much high octane all the way through. I can promise you there's going to be action from start to finish in both races.
Absolutely, and we're going to be seeing here how these drivers will tackle a qualifying session, and a very important qualifying session at that as well. This is Daniel Guinchard here in 11th position in the Audi right now, and is trying absolutely everything to make sure that this is going to be about the battle that will be coming up on the horizon, and how good it's going to be to try and pick up a result and pick up some key points in the early goings. Sort of driver Daniel Guinchard, who didn't have the good race 1 and finds himself with all the boatloads of oversteer there through that section of track, which can very easily catch you off guard. One of the things about this Kyalami circuit which really puts you in the lottery position is which curbs you can attack and which ones you can't.
Yeah, there'll be certain curbs around the track. That's what I like to call the 2-stage curb. There's the inside of the curb there, which is very highly raised. And if you hit that curb, you are going to unbalance the car. You're going to get a right whack onto the axle and onto the suspension, and the car is just not going to like it whatsoever. You got to step down then, which is a nice, easy curb to attack. Now, there's certain curbs around the circuit. You will see that there. You just saw on the inside of, I believe that was the S's there. That's one of those curbs. So you've got to be careful not to hit that high side of the curb. Otherwise, not only could you pretty much put off your lap time, especially in qualifying, but if you're being chased down by a certain driver, that's a mistake you do not want to be making. The car's going to get unsettled. You're going to lose a mountain of time, which is simply something you can't do around here.
No, you can't lose time. We are just about 30 seconds away from the end of practice. Alex Johnston holds the fastest first and third sectors on the lap. What does that tell you? Well, he's very, very good in the tight and technical sections, but when it, or sorry, I should say in the higher speed sections. When it comes to the technical stuff, It's not working as well in the middle sector. Here is Calvin Herzl, though, 20th position in the Good Time Racing Mercedes. And, well, it's a big far cry difference today here as practice expires here in terms of what we've got going on. It's a huge difference here, Kieran, between how many Mercedes we had last time out and how many Mercedes we have now.
Yeah, a handful at best of Mercedes here, but they're making the best out of it so far. And the number 100 Good Time Racing Mercedes, Herzl now makes his way onwards through Mineshaft, and then we head our way towards the Crocodiles in towards turn 13, braking heavily for the right-hander there. Then you can see the track sort of dips down through turn 14 and then over the crest as we make our way through Cheetah, that turn 15, that quick flick to the right. But you've got to slow that car down a bit more than you realise in towards the final corner at Imola and towards that start-finish line. Let's see what sort of lap time Herzl will set in that Mercedes as he crosses the line. Does he move up the field? Yes, he does. 41.7, which now puts him into 19th place. Interesting practice session, of course, there, Jake. It gives us a rough idea of how qualifying could go. Obviously, it looks like Messaoud here is going to pick up where he left off, but what's now left is the 15 minutes of qualifying that will decide the grids for both races.
And of course, qualifying does not guarantee you a victory. It guarantees you the best possible chance of victory in the two races that will be coming up. It's worth noting that this is not the only race that's going on here in the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series, the Sprint Championship, because there are two divisions. There is a professional category division, which is what we are showing to you today, and there is the amateur category division, which goes on at exactly the same time as well, which makes things very, very difficult for the team behind the scenes to really bring everything together. That's why we have twice as many stewards who are FIA race accredited stewards up at the very top, and so much more that goes on to creating a championship like this. And there is so much that goes on with qualifying and all of the rest of it. You really do have to keep your eyes on a swivel here, Kieran, because we are getting 25, 26 drivers out there, all trying to find a piece of real estate on the circuit to go out there and set their best time possible.
Yeah, and it's always tough when you've got more than 20 cars and you throw them out onto the track at the same time, try and say to them, look, you've got 15 minutes, set the best lap time you can. We saw last time out at Imola, it was very, very tricky. That one's a high-speed, flowing circuit, not many chances to pull over and let a faster car by. I mean, looking at the track layout, you're looking at a circuit here that's got a lot of high-speed corners, not many low-speed overtaking opportunities around the circuit, and not many places, more importantly, that you can safely pull over to the outside of the track and let a faster car through for a qualifying lap. So you've really got to be on the ball. You've got to be constantly looking in the mirrors, looking at the mini map, of course, if you've got it enabled, just to make sure you're not going to compromise someone's lap time behind you.
Every tool available when it comes to sim racing. And the best thing about sim racing sometimes is you have that opportunity to see racing get just that little bit closer than it would do otherwise, because everyone is on the same level playing field. They've got the same cars, the same balance of performance to go and play with. And we're out here in qualifying right now. Jan-Nicolas Erbrich then is getting himself around in the LL Racing Lamborghini. Let's go on board for a flying lap, see how he manages around this place. It's a fast front stretch. Here's the kink at turn number one, a very, very quick corner to go through, and you have to try and work out your braking zone. 100-meter marker board for Jan-Nicolas Erbrich as he jams it into Crowthorne, turn two. We're up the rise of the Jukskay sweep here, trying to put the power down as much as possible, right on the limits of third gear for braking down into second, about 120 kilometers an hour for putting the power back on the exit, getting a little bit of grass in front of him, which would have been a distraction, onto the back straight. Turn 5, out of Barbecue, now into Sunset Corner, the long right-hander. And you always wait to put the power down before turn 7 comes along, the Clubhouse Corner.
Yeah, try and get the car nice and turned in there. A little bit of a kiss of the curb as we make our way now in towards the S's through turns 8 and 9. You turn in, a little bit of a blind corner. Perfect opportunity for the car to initiate that opposite lock. Sometimes you've got to pull the wheel in the opposite direction to try and keep it all under wraps here. Over the crest and really into a blind braking zone in towards turn 10, in towards Leocop there, as now you head downhill on the exit of the corner and you now make your way towards turn 12. We just went through turn 11. No name for that corner, just turn 11. Now we head our way through Mineshaft and now towards turn 13. The Crocodiles now braking hard here. Again, you can see that two-stage curve. Try not to hit the raised part of that curve. It will unsettle the car. Through that slight kink of 14, now we're heading towards turn 15 at Cheetah. Careful not to carry too much speed through there, otherwise you will run wide on the left-hand side. In towards Ingwer we go, and towards that start-finish line. Put the power down as early as you can without spinning up the rear tyres. And Jan-Niklas Erbrich takes us for a lap around Kyalami circuit and will go, well, fourth fastest now. It's Whitehead on top, Littlewood in second, Jack Nolla in third, Green Sharp fourth, and Messaoud in fifth place. And the lap times are coming in thick and fast.
41.2 there in terms of that time. Here's Carly Atkins, was incredibly quick at Imola last time out, but had himself a little bit of a reputation in the opening race, got caught in 2 incidents in the 15 minutes, had himself a couple of drive-through penalties to serve, which put him out of contention. And Carly Atkins goes into 5th position in the Oinks Esports car then. So it's Audi's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the moment in qualifying. Here's Vishal Patel making progress to the line, hoping that the 95 car does well. Position 13 for the moment, 142.1. Not bad at all in terms of a lap time. It's worth also talking about how the championship points pay as you go down the order. It's 35 for a win, as we've said so much, but it's 30 points a second, 25 for third. That goes all the way down to 10 points, and then from 10 points, it's 1 point increment all the way to 1 championship point for 15th position. And we saw last week how 15th place really did chop and change on every lap.
Yeah, Sprint Series means that it's short, sharp races, and to the drivers, they instantly think, right, I haven't got long to make this overtake work. Aggression levels go through the roof. It's all about controlling that aggression and making the right moves at the right time and minimize the amount of time you lose. And also, we're here in qualifying, 10 points up for grabs for pole position, and Marcus Littlewood makes a step towards those 10 points by putting it on provisional pole position. As we see then, Erbrich goes into 4th fastest. There's Messaoud then fastest so far then with a 140.3, creeping ever closer to those 139s. Is it possible for someone up at the top there? Sheldon Muscat making his way across the line as we see him go up into 6th place in the GT Omega RPM Esports Audi. Here comes Dean Vella coming across the line to now go up into P13 on the head of the 7th row of the grid.
Brilliant work then in qualifying as we keep an eye on Cornelius Jasiunas here, the Lithuanian driver, moving through here the penultimate corner there. Cheetah into Ingwet, the final corner out on circuit, and a relatively short run to the start-finish line in comparison to the straight and turn 1 all the way to Crowthorne corner at turn number 2. Goes into 19th position on a 43.404. Jack Nolla looked like after last season, where he was second in the championship, he was going to be a main challenger for this one. Had a torrid race, one where he managed to salvage a top 10 somehow, but now he finds himself already 40-odd points back and having to work incredibly hard here for the remaining 4 weeks of the championship, the remaining 8 races that'll be coming up, making huge progress here to the Crocodiles. Turn 13, who's going to snap first at that sort of corner as Nolla looks to try and attack here the final section. The good news that he has is that's Red One Messaoud, I do believe, right in front of him out on track, so that will give him a really good idea of pace around here and what his marker is going to be against. We see Nolla make that charge over to the start-finish line. Is there improvement right now from him from 5th place? There is. He jumps 1 more place, 140.755. He's still 4 tenths off of Red One Messaoud, but he is in 4th position.
Yeah, and he'll be wanting to try and kick off once again here at Kyalami. And of course, he wanted to really try and get that race 1 result at Imola out of the way. He really did that in race number 2. It was just like a driver reborn once again and straight back onto the pace there and got himself a really good result. And that result alone helped him get into 3rd place in the championship as we head towards Kyalami. Here comes Mikael Parry across the line, 19th place in improvement. 43.2 moves him onto the 10th row of the grid.
Here is Nicholas Hillebrand, hasn't set a representative lap time as of yet, has been peppering in and around the top 10s at Imola. He definitely wanted to prove what he was capable of and definitely loves having a good race and a good go about here around this sort of track, and down the hill looking to attack out of turn 11. This could be one of those tracks where Nicholas Hillebrand finds himself a little bit of fun. Was in and around the top 10 as well in qualifying. Also, it's worth noting that Mangione is the 12th fastest driver at the moment. He's second in the championship, staying like he is right now. He's going to be dropping points, but Hillebrand trying to give everything he can. You can see he's maximising all of the road, especially there. He almost took some grass then on the entry. Does lock up the fronts there ever so slightly. That would have cost him a little bit in the braking zone, but now making the charge to the line. How's this lap look? P9, not bad.
Not bad from the Red Comet Racing number 9 car of Nicholas Hillebrand, when, in all seriousness, last season, I should say, as we've got a car facing the wrong way. That's a Lamborghini facing the wrong way. So we'll have to wait and see who that is. It can only be one of 3 or 4 drivers there. However, here comes Sheldon Muscat making his way across the line. P8 right now goes on to the second row of the grid. 40.6 from Sheldon Muscat. And bear in mind then, at Imola, didn't work out great for him. He looks in great form as we are here in South Africa.
Well, here's the one and only Bentley in the field. This is Daniele Pirone here, trying to make the Nordest Racing Team Bentley move itself up through the field. Has just been bumped to 20th, but jumps up to 18th position with that time, a 42.1. We are already down to the final 5 minutes here in qualifying. Drivers are allowed to finish the laps that they do start, as Daniel Stromer, who had a really good showing last time out at Imola, goes to 15th fastest in the number 2 Audi. So work to be done for him as he looks to try and find himself a little bit more. Tom Revox as well, the only Aston Martin in the field here today. So there is a representation here of all of the manufacturers that are out there and available. We are missing a Nissan, I do believe, here today, but we've got one Ferrari, we've got one Bentley, we've got one Aston Martin and one McLaren as well. So here comes Revox, hoping to find just a little bit more than 25th position right now for car number 26.
Yeah, he'll come across the line. Where will he go? He'll go PAT. 141.994 puts him now onto the 9th row of the grid. And as you can say, there's always going to be at least one Ferrari on the grid. We can always rely on Jimmy Holm turning up in the 777 Ferrari, the AWE lime green car. We're on board then with Daniel Stromer, currently P15. Now, of course, remember, this is a critical qualifying session because this session decides both of the grids for the upcoming 2 races. So wherever you qualify, that is where you're starting from for the next 2 races. So you've got to make sure you get in the best lap you possibly can, get as high up the order as you possibly can, because Sprint Series and qualifying midfield is not a great combination.
It really isn't, and if anybody saw what happened at Imola 1 week ago, it gets very difficult in the mid-pack because you're tripping over each other trying to gain places. It's all about being aggressive early, but you have to be measured as well around a race like this and a championship like this. The Stromer makes more progress to the line, hoping to improve out here on track, and goes to 13th fastest with a 41.3. Your top 6 at this stage are all in the bracket of Audi, apart from one, Red One Messaoud, the Porsche, up top, and it's very entertaining to see that he is a tenth quicker than anybody else in the middle sector. That's where he's finding that 1.5 tenths of a second lead that he's got at the moment. Muscat in 3rd, Atkins 4th, Littlewood 5th, and Nola in 6th. Ashtois 1-2 is exactly what the team was hoping for.
And 13 cars at the top of the order there, separated by less than a second. Always great to see. Always means we're going to have some great close racing, especially at the pointy end of the field. And remember Messaoud in the qualifying session at Imola? Well, he out-qualified anyone by more than half a second. And the fact that it's now just a quarter of a second is the gap between 1st and 2nd place means that it is all to fight for as we head into the closing stages of this qualifying session. 2 minutes and 42 seconds on the clock. Here comes Jan Ryler in the R3 Racing Audi. He now goes into 18th place, that treble 3 car, moving on to the 9th row of the grid. Vishal Patel in the PC Boys Racing number 95 Audi, currently P21, goes up to P15 with that 141.5. So a good lap time from Vishal Patel, which puts him now onto the 8th row of the grid.
Drivers who want to set a representative lap time will be feeling like they need to get out of pits right now to give themselves the opportunity. There is Sheldon Muscat going on to start a flying lap. Will only have 2 attempts to go and make something happen out there on circuit. So this is the 2-minute warning that's coming into play here at Kyalami. Who can find themselves pole position and up or disrupt Redwan Messoud if he can't go any quicker than he is right now. Ryler is there in 19th position, but you've got drivers like Yannickus Erbrick, who's having a really good qualifying at the moment in the 299 Lamborghini, up in 7th place.
Yes, and all eyes as well will be on Gianluca Mangione because he's all the way down in 14th place. He's currently second in this championship, but he's all the way down in 14th place in the only and the sole Lexus in that field. So it's not great so far. Jan Ryler, though, we're watching him as he bounces his way through turn 12. That suspension working a treat as we now make our way in towards the Crocodiles. Now heading our way towards Cheetah. Of course, that quick right-hander there, flicking the car in, hoping the wheels stay on and its grips to the track. Now making our way towards Ingwa, the final corner in the treble 3 R3 Racing Audi. He makes his way across towards the start-finish line, currently P19. Will this be an improvement? It will, but he won't move positions.
That just shows you how much you need to try and find. No change of improvement there. Luke Whitehead looking to try and gear up for a flying lap. They are going to get one more as they cross the line. You can see here the slew of vehicles going through the Crocodiles towards Cheetah Corner, and now looking to get through Ingwa, the final corner out on track. Don't expect any pit stops today unless there is going to be some heavy damage on some of these GT3 category spec vehicles as Whitehead makes progress for the line. Does improve, 40.473, not enough. Stromae now moves into the top 10, making it now 8 Audis inside of the top 10 here today at Kyalami. Nathaniel Thomas then in the PC Boys Esports car should be one of the last drivers to get one more lap in on the board. Crosses the line with 6 seconds to go and is in 11th position right now. So one more opportunity to improve on what was an improvement that time by a 141.124. The checkered flag does come out then here at Kyalami. Anybody out on the lap will now need to try and finish it and gain places. Whitehead making his progress to the clubhouse corner. That's turn 7 out on circuit and now attacking the back half of this track. The driver who's on pole position is in the pits. He will not improve on his lap time. So that's the benchmark try and get to. Littlewood is in 5th, Erbrick 7th, Greenshard 8th, Johnston in 9th, all of whom cannot improve on their positions. Hillebrand 13th. Mangione is 15th at the moment and unable to improve. A huge upset then when it comes to qualifying as Luke Whitehead gets traffic to go out of the way. That is the AMG Mercedes there of Hölzel moving out of position. But now you've got the final couple of corners coming up right down at the bottom of the hill. That is, of course, that brilliant Crocodiles turn 13 corner and through this brilliant section of road trying to attack. He's got to be careful. I think he's pushed a little bit too far wide there on the outside as he now makes his way through the final corner. You can see how much it meant to Luke Whitehead. He was the only one who could challenge Redwan Messoud at Imola, and crossing the line, Whitehead puts a 40.6 down. It wasn't enough. So by 1/10 of a second, shave off a thousandth there, it is Redwan Messoud who puts himself up on pole position then here at Kyalami. And Kieran, this might just be Redwan Messoud's championship once again, because that's back-to-back pole positions this season.
And that extends his championship advantage to 49 points. 10 points there for pole position for Redwan Messoud. He looks pretty comfortable up there. But as we've seen in these sprint races, you cannot get complacent. There are plenty of points on offer. If you don't have a great race, then there are other drivers out there who are going to be scoring those really high amount of points. So you've got to stay on it. Guard yourself against complacency and keep racing with your head down. I'm looking forward to seeing the first race. Of course, we've got 2 races coming up, 2 15-minute races, and that qualifying session has decided the grid for both of those races. Luke Whitehead did go purple through that last sector there, and it was the middle sector where he lost all that time, where he was, funnily enough, behind one of the Mercedes.
Exactly. So Hölzel there putting an end to an opportunity to attack in that element of qualifying. But let's talk second row for the moment, because we've got 2 drivers with 2 very contrasting styles here, Kieran, in terms of how they drive. You've got Sheldon Scott Muscat, who is a very smooth, very consistent driver who
often from times to times is all about finishing the race. And then you've got what is a powder keg of a driver like Carly Atkins, who loves to go for moves, loves to go out there and overtake, and sometimes does get himself into a little bit of trouble. Now, how does that dynamic come in and play when you've got them on the second row looking to attack into a long run off the start, heading to Crowthorne Corner?
Yeah, well, as you said to me before the stream, Crowthorne Corner is going to be, a corner that is going to catch out a lot of drivers, especially on lap one with slightly colder brakes to try and slow the car down, obviously slightly colder tyres. So that stopping distance is going to be slightly increased, especially into the first braking zone in towards turn 2. However, when you put those two drivers together, Muscat and Atkins, we already saw at Imola that Atkins, as you said, loves to go for a move down the inside. It's going to be a tempting thing for him, but he did have his visit to the stewards, and he has been, given the appropriate penalties, or what the stewards have deemed the appropriate penalties. He was penalised during that race as well as afterwards. So he's got that sort of steward's eye on him right now. He'll be looking for a cleaner race and only go for those moves if he knows he can get a nose down the inside, or at least a bit of front diffuser.
If you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, you're loving this sort of action, you want to get yourself in on board with that as well, you can head to worldproracing.com/events. You can see all sorts of events which gets updated all of the time. There's stuff that goes on many different platforms, not just the Assetto Corsa Competizione. And of course, that is your home for so much that happens when it's World Pro Racing. We are getting to the race in the next couple of minutes here, ladies and gentlemen, but we also have to talk, Kieran, about those drivers who didn't get a good qualifying here today. The big surprise, Mangione, P15 in the Lexus.
Yeah, and I think that's why we saw some drivers go away from the Lexus in this race. One driver comes to mind in Jan-Niklas Erbrich, who is so, he loves that Lexus. He really does. And I'm sure he would have left that with a heavy heart going in towards the second round of this series. However, it looks like that gamble has paid off. And it means that Mangione, who, as you rightfully said, is second place in the championship, starts all the way down in 15th place for both of these races. It is going to be an uphill struggle to try and hold on to that second place, but he qualifies within the points. If he can make a couple of positions up, he can try and write off this round and focus on Misano, which is where we head to for round number 3. But if he keeps his head down, he's right in amongst the midfield, right in that danger zone for any sort of action, for any sort of moves that can go slightly wrong. If he can avoid that, he's still in line for a pretty decent result.
And of course, if he is to avoid all of the dramas that happen at the front, it will mean that some drivers are going to run themselves into positions they don't necessarily want to be in. There's also the other point where maybe you don't have the best qualifying setup in the world, but the race setup may be in prime position, and there will be some hopes as drivers look to try and adjust to weather conditions that they are going to be on the grid. It was an issue with tyre pressures last time out that took Luke Whitehead from pretty much less than a tenth of a second away from winning at Imola, Kieran, to starting from the pit lane in the second race.
Yeah, and I mean, he owned up to it. It was his mistake. He wanted to try and change the tyre pressures, but went the wrong way in adjusting them. So wanted to adjust them back, and by the time he'd finished that, he'd missed the cutoff and had to start from the pit lane, sacrificing what was a brilliant qualifying session for him at Imola. However, he's got to put that behind him now. He's starting in a really good position this time around, but Messaoud grabs his second pole position of the season. 2 poles out of 2 so far. Our first 15 minutes are about to get rolling here as we head for a rolling start towards that start-finish line.
We absolutely are, and of course here, this rolling start, they will start themselves then from turn 14 out on track, and then from there, they've got themselves opportunity on the horizon. It is to get themselves through that final corner out there, and then from then it is going to be about attack, 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 and attack as they get themselves around the final corner, looking to wait then for the cue to get themselves racing out here today. And these 15 minutes, they will go by so very, very quickly. Watch out as they get themselves underway. There's the green flag, and it's a good start then on the left-hand side from Red One Messaoud. You can already see one driver hard over to the right-hand side. It's a wide entry here into turn number 1, and turn 2 even, I should say, at Crowthorne. So watch out for any dramas here on the inside
outside. Sheldon Muscat already attacking here. Whitehead for second position as he tries to go around the outside of the Juxgate sweep here as they head to barbecue corner, turn number 5. No racing toast at the moment, but Nathaniel Thomas with the big start in the Lamborghini, already up to 5th as he charges.
He absolutely is, as he now makes his way on towards Sunset Corner here through turn 6. We've got Atkins and Littlewood going side by side all the way through. Atkins manages to shut that door as Muscat here still holding on to that 3rd place, and he wants to try and get away from Atkins as much as possible. There you can see Atkins is really under attack there from Littlewood, and of course Nathaniel Thomas as well. And all that focus on him defending means that Muscat can try and get away a little bit. Jack Noller is under pressure from Ginchard here in the number 37 Audi. He's looking for a way past. There's Jan Ryler going side by side with the Bentley of Pironi then, who finds his way through, and the sole Pironi Bentley here trying to find a way through. We've got a car around, and that was great braking there from Jan Ryler to avoid that one. He really reacted well there. Got a car slightly onto the grass there, but he manages to recover there. Quick reactions there from Jan Ryler. He manages to avoid that one and stays in the race with little damage.
Oh, look at Hillebrand here trying to be opportunistic. 3 wide into Cheetah Corner. Oh my goodness, how have they all survived through that there? Hillebrand is going to lose out then after being so opportunistic. Stramair will go around the outside of the final corner trying to get through, but he's going to be dropping backwards as we look from the wing of, I believe, Jack Noller here, who's now down into 9th place because that's Johnston moving up then into 8th position. Messaoud, Whitehead, Muscat, Atkins, Littlewood, your top 5 at the moment. And here is Marcus Littlewood in the PC Boys Esports car trying to chase down Carly Atkins here for that 4th place and gain that time. You don't have long. This is only going to be about 7 laps worth of racing action, as Vishal Patel's had a really good start, already up into 14th place and past Hölzel there in 15th.
Yeah, good start. He's up into the point scoring positions, but what we should really be focusing on is 2nd place in this championship right now. Mangione is all the way down in 25th place. He's had a nightmare start there, as we see Luke Whitehead trying to pull away from Muscat, who takes a short trip across the grass. There is Mangione, 2nd place in the championship right now, and last of the runners. This is going to be a huge mountain already that he had to climb from P15, even more so from P25.
And P25 is just a whole lot worse. I think it was him that spun there at Leonkov at turn, or at lap number 1 here, out on circuit. This is Carly Atkins we are on board with here. 5th gear through the mineshaft corner, trying to stay with Sheldon Scott Muscat in 3rd position. Audi 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, as there is Daniele Pirone here in 24th, looking to try and make some progress through and try and get by, but there's battles absolutely everywhere out on circuit. This is the sort of track where everyone forms into a line, gets themselves ready and tries to attack. We've got 2 long straights in the opening sector to go and make overtakes happen, as there is Pirone again on the outside, gets a big wiggle. That's going to allow Mangione to move through then up into 24th position in this race. So everybody trying to get themselves into a position, as we just see there. That's Legreston trying to hold off a place here. Dean Vella has really dropped back off at the start.
Yes, he has, and he's really keen to try and take P22 of Christopher Legreston as we make our way on towards turn 2. You can see we're going to go 3 wide here in towards the 2nd corner, going all the way through. Will they make it cleanly through? There's a little bit of contact there, and you see there Vella had to try and back out of that one as we make our way through. And now you can see there Legreston's not happy with that one. He's going to go for a move once again. He has to go the long way round then as we make our way through on towards the little straight before sunset. And still, the battle for what will be the wooden spoon is just as exciting as the battle for the leaders. There is Pironi trying to go up the inside of what I believe that is Vella, and he has got the move done. Door-to-door action there all the way through sunset. He's up to P24.
Yep, so Pironi through, and as well Mangione making great progress. Here is the battle for 2nd, though. Luke Whitehead is going to have to play rear gunner to Redouane Messaoud at this stage, because Sheldon Muscat has just been quietly working away, toiling for an opportunity to dive and make an overtake. Not close enough there through the Crocodiles at turn 13. You can attack that exit as much as possible. Everyone is at this stage, as it still goes on here right down at the back for 25th position. Vella got a good run, but he gets out in the grass, and that's going to temper that move pretty aggressively then, as now next up comes that dive for the inside. Nope. No line at that opportunity to make that one happen. So, again, the waiting game continues. Here's Calvin Hölzel, though. Look at this. Janniklas Erbrick What a horror start he's had at this one. He qualified so well, up in 7th position. He's now fighting for one championship point here as that pretty white and pink Lamborghini goes to the outside line, trying to dive and make the move at Crowthorne Corner. Has this one been sorted out? Not yet, but the inside for the Juxcase sweep could be a huge bonus point here for him as he tries to attack. But look at Holzel keep the throttle in. He holds on to Barbecue.
Yeah, and you saw there, Erbrick caught that curb on the inside there. That unsettled the car, and he had to back out of it. He was going to understeer. So that was good driving there from the Mercedes to just try and stay ahead. Whitehead, meanwhile, he's all being attacked by Muscat behind, who's being closed in by Atkins, who's being closed in by Marcus Littlewood there in 5th place. As there you can just see Messaoud leading the way then as we make our way on towards Layer Cup here with 8 minutes and 50 seconds to go. And again, that battle for the wooden spoon intensifying. Dean Vella going for a move up the inside of LeCreston. They've made contact there. LeCreston has to go off the track there. And I think, yeah, Vella has to try and make sure he keeps that nose clean. He did make that contact there, and I'm sure the stewards will be having a look at that one later on. But LeCreston now down to P25 after that. Here comes the Bentley there. We're actually going to switch on to Muscat here, who's still trying to chase down Whitehead, but he's got to be careful. Any mistake he makes, and he's going to fall into the clutches of Atkins as we make our way through the final corner onwards towards that start-finish line. Messaoud still leads in that number 1 Ashtois Racing Porsche, trying to extend his gap to Luke Whitehead behind as he makes his way down towards turn 2.
I tell you what, Kyalami is really making everything happen here today as Sheldon Muscat on the brakes in 3rd position, trying to get himself an opportunity to play in Schrodinger's overtake. He must attack and defend at exactly the same time because of Carly Atkins behind, and everybody behind right now has a really good opportunity to gain if any driver comes together, as there's some more side-by-side between Vella going on here with, of course, Daniele Pirone in the Bentley, and of course that's going to be very tough to slow down that Bentley here on the brakes in towards Crowthorne. Turn number 2 out on circuit, just manages that. But the point I was making is that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, they're all pretty much still in there at the moment as Rainer Razar in the McLaren dives to the inside of the Aston Martin of Revox then to regain that 19th place again.
Yeah, he's not far away from the points, but he's got to try and get a move on here as he now makes his way through in the 690 RIHO Motorsport car as we make our way now onwards towards the S's through turns 8 and 9. But I tell you what, Revox is not letting that position go without a fight there as he now makes his way on towards Layer Cup in towards turn 10. And that very distinctive McLaren is now up into 19th place as we make our way through. But there is Cornelius Yasiunas, and he's under pressure then from Mangione, who's trying to recover from a not great start, qualified in P15, and the Lexus draws side by side with the Lamborghini, trying to make it too wide through, but wisely backs out as we make our way through Mineshaft and onwards now towards the Crocodiles, just putting a nose up the inside, trying to make it difficult for the Lamborghini to try and defend as we now power out on towards turn 14 through 15 of Cheetah, then going side by side all the way through, and Yasiunas has to take slightly to the grass there and backs out of it completely. Mangione has the corner and the position.
Now look at Luke Whitehead here in second. Muscat is all over like a rash, but can't get the drive out of the exit of the corner. That's going to really temper the run of Barbecue towards Sunset Corner here. Turn number 6, or you could also call it Sunset Bend like Sebring. But now to the clubhouse corner. This is where the middle sector becomes all about setup. You don't really have an overtaking opportunity here. You might do, though, if you run wide through this corner. Defended by Whitehead there, runs middle of the road, try and cover off that mistake that he's made at turn 7, and he actually gains benefits for it because through turn 9 he's able to carry on and continue forward, and he's able to do everything that he needs to defend that position. You can see 4th and 5th just behind, but also you got that battle 6th, 7th and 8th right now, which is being held by Gwynshar just behind, because you've got there Nathaniel Thomas trying to get in, and Johnston as well wanting to try and get in on the act. Everyone going through, and a 5-second time penalty being added by the race stewards to Daniel Stramer, who is in 11th position right now in this race.
Yeah, and that's for the incident between himself and the number 299 of Jan Nicholas Erbrick. So that must have been earlier on in the race. 5-second penalties awarded for causing an avoidable incident. That's what the stewards have said. So that will be added to the end of his race time. So we'll try and keep you up to date with any other stewards' decisions that happen tonight.
Look at Littlewood. He made a mistake through turn 15, right in the back end of shot. And now that puts him into the clutches of his teammate Gwyn Shah, who might want in. So now it becomes a 4-car train as they all look to battle. And let's not forget, 9th position right now is Jack Noller. He definitely wants in. He is probably the favourite to challenge against Red One Messaoud for the championship on the pace of last season, but down in 9th, not working. Now let's fight for 1 championship point. Jan Ryler's got through on Jan-Nicholas Erbrich, and so it's the battle between Jan and Jan as they fight this one for 15.
Spelled slightly differently, of course, as Jan Ryler has to try and hold off. Luke Whitehead, though, is having to go very defensive against Muscat here. And once again, he's on the back foot on the exit as we head out towards the S's now, as we make our way through, file our way through, down the hill, then through turn 9, on towards Leocop here. If Muscat can get a good run, there's a possibility of a move down the inside, but you can see there Whitehead covers off that inside move. Muscat has to go the long way round in towards turn 10. He might try a little bit of a cutback here, but again, Whitehead managing to drive really well, really defensive driving from Whitehead. He's managed to hold on to second place, and Muscat just can't find that way through yet.
There is no way forward right now for Sheldon Muscat. Again on the brakes, middle of the road defensive driving then by Luke Whitehead, who's doing everything to try and preserve the Ashtoire 1-2. It's going on 3rd, 4th, or 2nd, 3rd and 4th is a battle, as is 5th and 6th behind. And again, Muscat right out to the outside, trying to attack, and suddenly Carly Atkins thinks he's got an opportunity. He sniffs the inside, and wide evading there slightly is Muscat. Here's the run to Crowthorne once again, and this is Muscat getting a really good slingshot here. You can see him close that gap down to Whitehead. Can he dive at Crowthorne? Turn number 2. Atkins was thinking about it as well, but again, it's no dice.
I think there was a mix there for Muscat. He wanted to attack, but then realised he had to defend from Atkins, who was thinking about the same move as well. It was one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't moments there for Muscat. So he had to try and defend, but also wanted to get the move on Whitehead. Very, very awkward move there, but he managed to make it stick, and he's still there in that 3rd place. And Whitehead is driving one of the widest Audis Kyalami has ever seen. He runs slightly wide, though, and onto the grass, so you can see he's driving the wheels off that car as we make our way through Clubhouse Corner. But there you can see Carly Atkins is trying to get through as well. Jan Ryler versus Jan-Nicholas Erbrich as we make our way now on through Sunset, and that is Erbrich all the way around the outside of Jan Ryler, still trying to hang on in there is the R3 Audi as we make our way in towards Clubhouse. But finally Jan-Nicholas Erbrich gets the move done, and he moves into the points.
Yeah, brilliant work there. 1 solitary point, and again, Muscat's there. Now, look at how hard the defending's going here by Luke Whitehead. He's defending so hard that Gwyn Shah, Thomas, and Johnston are all jumping onto the back of this one at this stage, and we could suddenly find ourselves with 7 drivers in the final lap of this race, because we are going to start the white flag lap, so to speak, in American terms here, all fighting out for 2nd and 3rd position. Messaoud hasn't broken away too much here in terms of this one at the front. He has managed this race as Nathaniel Thomas now looks for a good run here to attack Gwyn Shah's. This is a lot of drivers trying to get in, and look at the run that the Lamborghini gets here, moving to the outside of turn 1, looking to try and get past Gwyn Shah. We'll have the inside then at Crowthorne Corner. Beams cross then at the front for Sheldon Muscat, who wants through. Still can't find it there at turn 2 at Crowthorne, but now up the hill, you start to try and run and attack and find that way through up the Juxke Sweep to Barbecue at turn number 5. How good is the run coming out of the corner now to attack for Luke Whitehead? It's okay. It's able to be defended here towards turn number 6. It's not good enough of a run. Through is not Nathaniel Thomas, though. Gwyn Shah was able to hold that place behind, but crucially again, Whitehead feels a little bit more comfortable than he has done in some prior laps. This is where you don't need to be driving automatic. You need the clutch in positions like this. There is Redouane Messaoud out in front. We haven't really talked about him this race because he's been out at the front and unchallenged since the drop of the green flag for this race 1, as at this stage, Whitehead behind, still trying to hold that position to defend. Muscat's got 1 true overtaking opportunity. That will come at turn 13, and this is where the setup comes into play. Out of turn 11, through the mine shaft, towards the crocodiles of turn 13. out on track? Is there that late lunge that comes into play? The answer is going to be no as they go through this section. But for Red One Messaoud, he has just simply kept himself calm. No need to paddle hard. No need to really worry about this opening race. And in terms of this championship, Red One is starting out with a total sense of I want everything. It's 3 from 3 as Red One Messaoud takes the 1-2 over the line.
And another great drive from Messaoud as he crosses the line to take yet another win in the Sprint Series. Whitehead in second, Muscat finishing in third place, rounding off the podium. And Atkins there, well, he put on a great show, didn't he? Wanted to get the move done, just couldn't quite find that podium in the closing minutes, although he did give it a great go. There's Littlewood in fifth place, Thomas in sixth with Ginchard in seventh, Johnston in eighth with Jack Noller in ninth, Hillebrand in 10th, Stramer 11th with Roth in 12th, Holm in 13th, Patel 14th, and Jan Nicholas Erbrich rounding out the top 15 there. So a great race there. Fully on, you had to not make a mistake all the way through, and you can just see the total time from the leaders. I mean, all of the top 13 within 10 seconds of the eventual race winner, over 15 minutes. That is an insanely competitive field. I'm loving it. We've got another one of these.
Exactly, we do. And of course, that'll be coming up in a few minutes' time, ladies and gentlemen. But quite honestly, we have seen some incredible racing there in terms of that opening section that we've had, that third race, another 35 points, another extension in the championship for Red One Messaoud, who can be incredibly happy with the way that he is collating points, which is going on race on race on race. But that would have been a really, really good insight for a lot of drivers who found that overtaking here at Kyalami was really difficult. A lot of drivers got bogged down and frustrated here, Kieran, and they simply ran out of time.
Yeah, and that's the feature of Kyalami. There's not many heavy braking zones where you can try and launch a move down the inside. Most of the corners are fast and flowing, and if there's a touch of the brakes to try and fling yourself into, for example, Sunset and towards Clubhouse Corner, you're really relying on the car in front getting a worse run through the corner than you. So you're trying to put the pressure on the car ahead. But as we saw with many of those drivers, they are not too easily deterred. So a mistake from them is very rare. So it gets a bit more frustrating. I'm just glad the eventual sort of, well, why not? I'm going to go for move down the inside. Who cares moment hasn't happened, which is good. It means the patience of all the drivers is really good, even though it does say Sprint Series, which is, you know, flicks a switch inside of a driver that says, right, I've got to get every move done right now.
And what's crucial as well about going into this race too, they start in exactly the same positions they did for race number one. If someone had a very poor start today, like Mangione, who had himself a run to 18th place, he didn't score any points. Yeah, Nicholas Erbrich could only manage one solitary point today. Those sorts of drivers will be looking at that second race going, well, we've got a chance now to be aggressive here. We've got nothing to lose here around this race because we know there's nothing more coming along after tonight. They've got to wait one more week to go and race again. And of course, that'll be coming up rounds 5 and 6 over at Misano.
Yes, so one more race to try and score as many points as possible and try and pick up those extra bonus points if you can. If you don't have the greatest race in the world, you can still rely on those bonus points to try and get you further up the order. For Messaoud, though, it's another win. It's another pole position. And going into this fourth race of the series at the second round, it is looking increasingly likely here that Messaoud could run away with this. But as we've already seen, all it takes is for one substandard race from a driver of his talent, and the championship could be wide open again.
Absolutely. We're going to step aside for just a couple of moments, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with round 4 of the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series after this. This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more.
Round 4, or shall we say race 4, coming into this championship. And now it's all about focus. They've had 15 minutes of a sighter, and it was one where Red One Masoud was unchallenged. But the big key about trying to get forward, I think, in this second race of the night, the second and final race that we've got coming up here, Kieran, my name's Shakespeare, by the way, says so right down there. The big key, I think, is can anybody get through into turn number 2? Because we saw in that opening race that if you couldn't get by early and quickly, you're not getting by around this place. You can defend the middle of the road.
It is a tough circuit to overtake, and the drivers will have seen that and realised that by now. So maybe a change of mentality is needed as we head into the second race of tonight. Exactly the same grid positions as race 1, of course, that qualifying covering both of these race sessions. So in other words, maybe the aggression needs to be turned up a whit from some of these drivers. But the only problem is because there aren't many low-speed corners and heavy braking zones, there's not a huge chance of opportunities and a huge range of opportunities to get a move down the inside. We've seen moves at turn 6. One car going round the outside, the Battle of the Yans for that final points paying position. It can be done, but it's so tricky around a circuit like this. If you haven't got those low speed corners and those heavy braking zones, it just makes your day at the office of trying to overtake much more difficult.
If you haven't already, you can like, share and subscribe with World Pro Racing to get yourself up to date with everything that's going on. You can also join the Discord community as well. That's where you get your hub to all the racing and join the World Pro Racing community, though. This is where you're going to find that 4th race of the championship. This is where you're going to find if you've got what you need and you've got everything that is there available to you. It is the Ashtois cars 1 and 2, the French sim racing outfit, looking very, very good at this stage. But we wait, and there's the green, and there's the go. Red One Masoud in control, but Whitehead's got a really good launch then
to start this one off. So how they go in towards turn number 2 at Crowthorne Corner. You can see they're fanning out 3, almost 4 wide as they hit the brakes. Red one blocking off the inside. Contact there in the middle. That's Carly Atkins dropping back 2 positions then as they go through. But Red one's done so well, and Whitehead immediately under pressure. Round goes one driver. I think that's Hillebrand in trouble as Dean Vella gets a drive-through penalty. And they're 3 wide, and there's contact in the middle as well. And I think that's Stramair who got himself spread eagle sideways.
Yeah, we'll have to confirm which of those drivers have fallen down the order, but meanwhile, Messaoud has managed to get away once again into the lead. Whitehead in second, Muscat in third. No, you're not getting deja vu. This is race number 2. Jan-Nicholas Urbeck, a much better start from him this time around, challenging for positions there. I believe that's Kinshar that's just got around the outside and gained himself a position. There's Muscat then. He's now under pressure from the highest running Lamborghini in this field, in Nathaniel Thomas, who's now up into 4th place. Marcus Littlewood in 5th. Atkins there falls to 6th place. Could have been a worse start, but that little bit of contact going into turn 2 on the very first lap of this race compromised his exit, and of course he would have lost positions there. There is Jan-Nicholas Urbeck, who's being challenged by Hillebrand as we now make our way onwards towards Mineshaft, all the way through this lovely fast left-hander, trying to keep the throttle in as we see multiple moves happening in the background. Battle for 4th going on behind between Thomas and Littlewood here as they now make their way through 14 on towards Cheetah. Once again, Nathaniel Thomas managing to fend off Littlewood for now as we've got cars, multiple cars running wide there, being caught out by that very high profile curb on the inside of Cheetah.
Queenshire is very lucky that he still has a car available to him. It was Jack Noller who went around then in the opening lap. That's why he's all the way down in 20th position here, trying to find a way through. As Ryler gets himself all over the curb. Lucky he keeps himself moving forward in a straight line, but he drops now to 23rd place behind the Estonian Mikael Parry. So that's going to be a case of battling top 3 at the moment. Messaoud, Whitehead, Muscat, exactly how it was in race 3 just a little bit earlier on. But Jack Noller, 19th, has just got through on Legreston, making his way up through the field. But now he's got work to do. Revox & Co going through. And this battle for 1 championship point. Rainer Rassar, the Estonian in the McLaren, is now trying to hold back the tide right now as there is Daniele Pironi trying to get through in the Bentley.
Yeah, through Sunset Corner, a brave man to try and get a move done there, but he certainly thought about it, that's for sure. In towards Clubhouse Corner then, and you can see the Bentley looking for that point-scoring opportunity then. They're going 2 wide, and that's Yasinus and Revox going side by side there. There is Messaoud, and it looks like this time around, Whitehead is much closer to the back of him this time around as they now make their way out of turn 11 towards Mineshaft once again. But I don't think Messaoud will be too concerned about that one. As long as he hangs on to the lead of this race, as long as he drives comfortably to the end to the checker flag, he will call this a very, very good day. But it looks like Whitehead much more on the pace in these opening laps.
He certainly does, and this is going to be a cause of concern for maybe a couple of drivers out here who will be wanting to go through. Muscat there in 3rd place, and then you've got Thomas and Atkins 4th and 5th. Littlewood has just dropped the position. Hosel there, I think, has just managed to make his way through on Stramair. That's up to 13th, and there goes the Bentley in the background in trouble. Daniele Pirone there, Cheetah Corner in trouble. In fact, will dive down into the pits. I think there's damage on the Bentley. That's why we see the pit stop occurring.
Yeah, into the pits they go, and of course it's a sprint series, so pitting is the absolute last thing you want to be doing, as Hurzel there having to defend from Stramair in towards turn 2 there, and a really late defensive move. In fairness, it was a really late attack from Stramair there. Of course, Dean Vella will have to come into the pits at some point to serve his drive-through, as there's a battle for position here between Patel, and I think that's going to be the Greston there, is it, in the Mercedes? It is, as they now head their way in through Barbecue, now on towards the short straight towards Sunset, and Patel does get the move done on Legreston, moves up now into 18th place.
Now you've got the 2 Mercedes together looking to try and battle it out on top of it. So a lot all happening to unpack then. We're only 5 minutes into this 15-minute race. There's so much more on the horizon as everyone tries to work out where they are and can they gain positions. There's your race leader, Red One Messaoud, who's just slowly increasing that gap at the moment, as side by side, Hosel still having to defend from Stramair. This is some incredible defending going on right now here as the German holds off Stramair. Daniel Stramair is looking every which way to try and make a move around. He's tried at every corner so far I think you can think of. He might as well throw the kitchen sink on top of that as well, because if that's not going to work, I don't know what is.
Well, you can see there getting a little bit of opposite lock through the Crocodiles there, and trying to keep that car all nice and under control is very difficult when you're trying to attack every single corner. That battle for P13 will rage on well into this race. Sheldon Muscat then, third place so far for him in this race, and Atkins has moved his way back up to fourth place. Remember, on the first lap he dropped to sixth. He's now worked his way back up into fourth place, so a great drive so far from Atkins in trying to make his way up the order, and the top four looks very similar to the previous race here tonight.
I tell you what, Carly Atkins is driving with everything he possibly can. He's driven a 140.9 that last time by, and I think that he is driving knowing that he's got nothing to lose here in fourth place as round goes Muscat, loses the back end through turn 6, and I think he grabbed grass on entry, and now look at how many positions he dropped, another further 3 on top of that, as he now finds himself in what I count now as 7th position, if not 8th.
Nah, he's going to be kicking himself about that one. Absolutely kicking himself. He's driven so well all night so far, and just that slight lapse of concentration, that slight misjudgment of getting onto that grass there, and it sent the back end around, spinning around, and luckily it wasn't a full spin. It was only a sort of a half spin, but it just costs you so much time, and we'll see now he's fallen all the way down the order, so unfortunate for him as the standings will update. But we're watching Ginchard then, who will go up into what I believe will be 5th place now as we make our way onwards towards the turn 13 Crocodiles section, as Herzl once again having to defend from Stramair. There's Stramair diving up the inside in towards the Crocodiles. Can he keep that car all nice and under control? They're going to be side by side then as we head through that slight kink of 14. Now you can see the Mercedes as the inside of Cheetah, and now we'll have the inside heading towards Ingwa, and you will see here Herzl will have the apex, but you'll see Stramair get the better exit, get the better drive out of the corner, down the start, finish straight. This one's not over yet. You can see Herzl having to defend. He goes to the outside of 1, which will get him the inside in towards turn 2. Side by side they go then. Who is going to be later on the brakes? Who's going to get the better run as they head through Crowthorne? And you can see there that Mercedes of Herzl just about holding on, but Stramair behind him. These are going to be the longest 7.5 minutes that this Mercedes has ever had, as Stramair all over the back of him and almost losing his own braking point going into barbecue.
Very nearly took out the driver behind as half distance scored at the moment. Greenshire under pressure though from his own teammate here as Johnston wants a way in and wants an overtake. He's not finding it at this stage, and this is where it started to hurt because they go side by side through the S's. You struggle to hold it too wide down the hill, and another big wiggle there from Sheldon Muscat just behind. Look at the run that Ginchar is now having off the exit because Johnston again wants to attack. He'll go the long way around the road, longest travel to try and pick that up at Leonkov, and he's not going to pick that one up by any stretch of the imagination. This is all starting to get a little bit dicey here. 6.5 minutes, not long left on the table. If you want to go and make something happen here, you're going to have to be aggressive for it. As you can see, they are starting to lose touch with the top 5 here. Grinshaw is holding everyone back to Jan-Nicholas Erbrich, who's back there in 12th position in the pink Lamborghini. Big slide. Big slide there, big slide of oversteer, and that's exactly what Johnston needs to try and egg him on to try and get that position there. Ginchard, you can see they're trying to defend, trying to take a normal racing line. Johnston then wanted to take a little bit of a compromised line, but that will get him the racing line and the best possible exit out of the corner. Unfortunately for him, look who's behind him. A recovering Sheldon Muscat here, wanting to make a move up the inside in towards Crowthorne here. Dives down the inside. Hillebrand wants to follow suit as well to try and gain a position up the order, but it hasn't quite worked. It did work for Sheldon Muscat. He's up to P7. And here comes Hillebrand again at turn 5. There's contact. Round goes Hillebrand. Everyone spins out to avoid there. Jimmy Holm just about avoids it then as Hillebrand looks for the clean way to get back on track. He'll drop down to 14th place, but Jimmy Holm now up into 9th place. He in fact got it done on Yannick Ruoff as well. So all the positions changing all the time, but that's how easy it can go from being aggressive to being on the outside looking in, as that is Jack Noller now holding 1 championship point as he just about staves off Nicholas Hillebrand for the moment inside of turn 7 at the clubhouse. And well, stamp yourself into the crew right now, Mr. Jack Noller. He's still going to have to defend here to the S's at turn 8. Leaves all the room in the world, but still just about holding it, is he right now? Yes, he can just about say he's got that one done. Johnston with a 5-second time penalty.
Yeah, for a causing an avoidable collision. We'll come back to that because Hillebrand is all over the outside of Jack Noller then. This is just for the battle for 1 point in the championship, but they're fighting so hard for it. Both drivers need this point. Both drivers want this point added to their championship standings. Then Hillebrand then moves left. Will he dart to the right? No, too late for that move as we now head our way in towards the Crocodiles, and it's just trying to find some sort of better line than Jack Noller now. That's what Hillebrand needs to find as we now make our way in towards Cheetah, up the inside, still no way through. Guinchard here is the next driver in Muscat's crosshairs as he looks to try and find a way back through. Jimmy Holm, though, meanwhile, is under pressure then from multiple cars behind, diving down the inside. Then Ruoff, no, he doesn't try and go for a move then as Johnston there doesn't get the back end cleanly down, and Jimmy Holm is saying thank you very much, I'll take that back. Ruoff behind the number 297 trying to find a way past Johnston, no way through, and Johnston just lit up those rear tyres on the exit of Crowthorne, couldn't get the power down, and it's cost him that great move that, you know, he earned that position and then threw it away again.
Really losing out as Muscat tries to go around the outside at turn 7. He's not going to find it. We're down to the final 4 minutes here in this race. Red One Messaoud on course for 4 wins out of 4 to start the season, with Luke Whitehead in second and Carly Atkins in third position in the number 41 Audi at this stage. It has been a really strong run, but it's those battles 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, where all the action's happening at the moment. Guinchard holding off through Leonkov and down the hill at the one of the most southerly points on the circuit here, that little corner 10 and 11, and now just trying to make that run all the way to 13 at the Crocodiles. It's now a case where Guinchard just needs to make sure he's holding a buffer margin of about 2/10 through that section to make sure he's not going to be under pressure, losing places and putting himself in whole heaps of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to take you through some of the penalties we've had so far from the stewards then. 5-second penalty for the number 248 of Johnston on the number 36. That's causing an avoidable collision. And for the number 333 will not be racing at round 3 for causing an avoidable major incident in the first couple of minutes. So that's a huge, huge penalty, a race ban if you like.
Absolutely. So stewards definitely not happy with that sort of incident that's gone in from the 333 machine. So we haven't caught that on cameras, and some would say thank goodness for that one. But Sheldon Muscat still looking to try and find a way through. He's got 2 laps to work this one out here, try and get himself up into 6th place, and he's flashing the headlights a little bit. He's thinking about every which way he wants to go through and try and attack and try and make that overtake. It's at this point here, Kieran, when you see a driver in front and you're struggling to find a way through, you look to every trick in the book. Someone else who's trying to use every trick in the book, it's Johnson here who wants it, Alex Johnston. Remember, he's got that 5-second time penalty. He's going to drop behind all of these drivers at the end, but Ruoff and Erbrich, they'll want to try and get to Jimmy Holm as soon as possible.
Yeah, but there's a fine line between bravery and desperation. You've got to try and find the fine balance. You don't want to be too desperate for a move. Half-hearted moves down the inside are half the reason for incidents. But also, you don't want to be too cautious either. You don't want to try and just hold back, as, you know, it could have been a race that could have been. It could be 2 or 3 extra points we're looking at here. So you've got to find that fine balance. Is the move on? And if it is, can I be aggressive enough to get it done?
We are heading towards the final lap of this race here at Kyalami. In a week's time, we'll be heading back over towards Italy, over to Misano, and the circuit of Marco Simoncelli. Wide in the background goes Johnston. Then as he struggles, Guinchard gets an okay run. Holm is there in 8th, and Johnston does not hold 9th place now because Yannick Ruoff in the Porsche here, home track for Porsche, works out absolutely fantastically. Now here comes Erbrich looking for the top 10. Look to the outside, looks to the inside, now turns to the outside at turn 2, and that pretty white and pink Lamborghini has got to find a way through on the Audi, and then there's the Porsche in front of that. Nothing doing at Crowthorne at turn number 2, but up the Juxke sweep towards Barbecue at turn 5, is there going to be opportunities? 2 tyres in the grass here for Sheldon Muscat. He's thinking the inside, no, the track's taken away. I'll have to go the long way at Sunset. We'll try and open up down at the inside of the corner. In fact, no, why don't we just go for contact? He jams the brakes on immediately, redressing the position. He doesn't want to overtake like that. At turn 7, they go through. Now they're starting to get themselves using the chrome horn in these sorts of vehicles, and that's not ideal. Muscat crossed the beams in towards turn number 8. This is not ideal in terms of these two battling it out together. They're getting a little bit nasty here as they now look to try and attack to Leonkov at turn number 10 out on track. Is this one going to work around the outside? The answer to that one is an affirmative no, so the waiting continues. Your race leader, though, for the second consecutive race tonight, unchallenged at the front since the opening section. He built that gap. He's got the best teammate behind him to work with. And for Red One Messaoud, it could be position number 1 once more. One final corner to go here. And this is my home. Kyalami is in its native language. It might as well be Red One's home because he's gone back-to-back for the second consecutive week.
That is amazing form from Red One Messaoud there as Luke Whitehead takes second place. That's his back-to-back second place as well. And Atkins, Carly Atkins with his first podium as well. He'll be absolutely delighted. He's been on the pace all day today. Thoroughly deserves that pole position there. Oh, sorry, that third place finally for him. It's Thomas fourth with Littlewood in fifth there. Guinchard in sixth. Muscat recovering to seventh place. Holm in eighth. Ruoff in ninth. Johnston rounding off the top 10. It's Erbrick in 11th. Hurzel in 12th. Ravox in 13th place. Hillebrand in 14th. And Jack Noller getting the sole point and the last points paying position of 15th place. Well, I have to say there, Jake, we had some high octane action. Kyalami certainly delivered, and it's all going to be heading into next week. I mean, can anybody stop Red One Messaoud?
That's the question. It's the question that is often asked, but there hasn't been an answer at the moment. Worth noting that 5-second time penalty from Alex Johnston demotes him down to 12th position in that one, behind Jan-Nicholas Erbrick and also behind Holzel as well. That was, of course, due to the penalty that did come about. So that's the reason why you see him down the order and dropped a couple places then late on. But what we should be able to do in the next couple of moments is bring in some drivers for post-race interviews. And we actually do have a driver here with us right now. First time here in the commentary box with us with an opportunity to talk. Carly Atkins coming home with third place overall. Carly, first and foremost, that in that second race was about you trying to attack, trying to gain back those places after falling back to sixth place. And it seems like you picked them off one at a time and then it all just formed for you at the end.
Yeah, it was a perfect race. I had a really bad start. I got mugged on the start, but managed to get my way back up with people mistakes. And I'd like to say a massive thanks to Onyx Esports for the amazing setup, for everything they do for me. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, let's talk about as well how you've come from what happened last week to this week. Of course, you found yourself with 2 penalties in the opening race of the championship, which put you on the back foot pretty much straight away. So how do you temper yourself then from that sort of disappointment a week ago to now, where you pick up your first podium and now you're starting to put the points together on the board?
Yeah, so just making sure I'm clean, making sure I'm fast, and keeping away from anyone that's gonna danger me or anything. So it's all good, all good.
And in terms of 1 week from now, you head over to Mazzano, a track which has a lot of characteristics that are quite similar to Kyalami, a very much a track which is based on putting yourself into a position to go out there and attack. Do you feel like this is going to be similar in terms of car choice from one race to the next?
Yeah, everyone's gonna pick the same car, I reckon, for the next few races. Just about who can be more consistent. And
well, your opportunity is here, Carly. It's third position overall, so shout out sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank.
I'd like to say a massive thanks to Onyx Esports for the amazing setups. Ashton Cox from them, big up to him. Fanatec CSO Elite, brilliant wheel, and my dad, and that's about it.
Carly Atkins then very happy with that third place finish overall. Kieran's found the race winner though, or both race winners, I should say. It's Red One Messaoud who picks up his fourth and third race wins of the season.
Absolutely, and Red One, we should probably address that 2 dominating performance from you there. It takes your win tally from 4 out of 4. You must be brimming with confidence. Talk to us about those races.
Yo, hello overall. Hello all. I'm happy for 2 wins again. I'm happy. lot of training, so concentrate to my pace. So it's good for me again.
Yeah, and you certainly showed the pace. Maybe not so much as Imola there, but was it just as challenging in trying to keep that pace for the entire race?
The Porsche is totally different about the Mercedes. So tire is no more no use a lot in grip. So 50 minutes it's very short racing. So tire is okay.
And in a sea of Audis, you managed to get both wins in the Porsche. So a huge congratulations to you. Next round, though, we head to Misano. And the question on everybody's mind is, can you make it 6 out of 6?
Sorry, I don't understand what you say.
Can you make it 2 more wins on the board when we head to Misano next week?
I take the Porsche too. It's a very good car in the Misano Porsche. So I'm good in Misano with Porsche, so it's okay.
Well, we'll be expecting to talk to you next week then. And Red One, the floor is yours. Any shout-outs and sponsor mentions? Over to you.
I'm happy to the new driver in H3 Racing, Luke Whitehead. So it's good for the team. So thank you for H3 Racing, my team. And I want to tell my little channel in YouTube. You tap Redwan Messaoud in YouTube. You find me on the. I'm on Instagram, on the Twitter, so it's okay for me.
Oh, absolutely. Red One, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Go and celebrate your 2 race wins here today. And Jake, who have you found down there now?
Well, I found the driver who has found himself in a new team. Luke Whitehead joins in with the conversation. Now, Luke, it's a nice way to start this one. Back-to-back 1-2 finishes for the team. Of course, you got every reason to be happy about it. But on top of that, you really had to work in that 3rd race, or race 3 of the championship, to really make sure that you were going to be in a position where you could hold on to that 2nd.
Yeah, it was incredibly tough. A lot tougher than I really wanted it to be. Basically, going into the corners, I don't know whether you noticed, but I wasn't able to brake into the corners like the other guy. I've had a problem with my brake pedal, so I've basically had to calibrate my clutch to use as my brake pedal. So I'm only getting 70% input. So I'm having to brake a lot earlier than what the rest of the guys are. So to be honest, to even get 2nd, I was hoping for a top 10. But even to get, to qualify 2nd, almost get pole, and to qualify 2nd, to finish 2nd in both races, I'm absolutely ecstatic with that.
Well, you were absolutely putting everything to it. And of course, those sorts of issues we weren't able to see until right now when you've just told us. So the fact that you've managed to get yourself over the line with 2 second places must be absolutely ecstatic for you. But in terms of those races and putting 2 second places on the board, how important of a message is that to say, you know what, we didn't have the best run, of course, my own mistake, so to speak, when it came to Imola, but 2 big 2nd places, it's your 3rd podium of the season, and right now you are the nearest challenger to Redwan Messaoud.
Yeah, it's a big statement. It's one that I really wanted to make. New team with H3 Racing, which I'm honoured to be a part of now. With new equipment as well, I've got a new steering wheel. I've had a really hard week. I've had limited training as a result, so it's a big statement, and I'm glad to say to all the people, I'm here. I am here. So it's brilliant. I'm glad I can say that.
And well, you are here, but in 1 week we're heading to Misano, a track which is very similar, but does have that one big overtaking opportunity on that long back stretch. So are you going to be feeling like you're in a position now to maybe advance the setup, advance the work, and maybe get 100% of your brake pedal back?
I certainly hope so. That's obviously top of the priorities, and obviously working with Red One, I worked with him quite a lot this week, just trying to improve my pace, and hopefully I can use that to my advantage at Misano, because it's a track that I actually haven't done a lot of track time around, so I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
Well, the floor is yours. Shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank, Luke.
So first of all, I'd like to say well done to Red One and Kyalami, double podiums. They all drove really well. And well done to Sheldon as well. In the first race, he made life very difficult for me. I'm ashamed about what happened to him in the second race. I'm not really sure how he dropped back. Thank you very much to Demon Tweaks and Cube Controls for their amazing support with getting my equipment, with my steering wheel fixed and getting a new one delivered. Thanks to WPR Esports once again for getting my pedals sorted, and yeah, just their amazing customer support. Like, they're the best in the business. And finally, thanks again to H3 Racing for providing me with the setups and just giving me, helping me, making me feel very welcome within the team.
Luke Whitehead then back-to-back second places. It was third place in race 3 of the championship for Sheldon Scott Muscat. He's found Kieran McGinley, who wants to have a little bit of a conversation.
Yes, Sheldon. Well, let's start with the positives. A podium in that first race. Obviously, that was a really good race there. But just talk to us. How difficult was that race out there? It looked so compact out there.
Hello, good evening. Yeah, the pace was incredible. Red One's pace and Luke Whitehead's pace was out of this world, and I managed to keep up to Whitehead, especially into the corners, because he said he had some problems with the pedals, but I just couldn't get the run out of the corners. Kyalami is a very difficult track to overtake at, so yeah, it was very difficult, but I managed to keep it on track, race 1, but then in race 2 I made a not so ideal downshift into the fast right-hander, and I lost, the rear just broke away, and at least I held it, but I fell down to P8, so I did not bin it at least. So I got P7 in race 2. So yeah, quite good for me.
Yeah, and when we take away from Imola, I mean, on the board there, you were 14th going into this race, 9 points on the board. I mean, that's a healthy amount of points heading in towards Misano next week. I mean, how do you take away from this race? Is it points lost or a really good podium to celebrate?
Well, Imola was a disaster for me. I couldn't get a good qualifying lap. I think I got my valid lap at the last 30 seconds, something like that, and I was P13. But this race, yeah, Kyalami, I knew I had the pace here. I just, put it there,
Absolutely. And when we head to Misano next week, obviously, how are your feelings going towards that race? Are you feeling you're on the pace, or could it be a race you may struggle at? How's your outlook looking?
Quite on the pace at Misano, that has that large straight at the back, so there's an overtaking opportunity there, and we'll see next week,
We shall indeed. And obviously, Sheldon, the floor is yours for any sponsors, shout-outs, and anyone you'd like to thank.
Of course. I would like to take my team sponsors, my team GT Omega RPM Esports, of course. Sponsors are GT Omega Racing, Gaming Malta, HyperX, and Pro Racing for these wonderful events, as always,
Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Sheldon. Well, hopefully we'll see you next week out on track, and enjoy your podium at least. And Jake, that's back to you.
It absolutely is, and with that, the curtains close here at Kyalami. Some wonderful racing in both races that we had here today, and I'm sure that every driver wants to try and continue the form here and develop what they have built up for a similar circuit in 1 week's time with Misano. You can catch that with us with World Pro Racing. You can catch that, of course, with ESTV, the Esports Television Network. You can catch it with The Race. You can catch it with Motorsport.tv, and you can also catch it with TVM Sport as well. A massive thank you has to go to the likes of AMD, HyperX, GT Omega, Thrustmaster, and Melita, who help sponsor this stream going on right now with World Pro Racing. As well as that, the team that's been working hard in the Pro Division, we've got Adrian Fagayo, and as well as that,
Andre Mesheka there, who has been working in the Pro Split, and of course George Muscat and Nathan Vella, who have been working the AM Split as our race stewards. The cameras worked by Justin Missard, and of course one person here who I have a lot of affinity for, Mr. of course Kieran McGinley, who has been alongside me for the ride. My name's Jake Sperry, and once again it is Red One Messaoud. Red One, P1, 4 wins out of 4, but Misano looks like it could be more of the same. Another week to figure out some similarities. Another week maybe to find just one more little morsel that finds more pace. It was only 1/10 the difference in qualifying. Racing, though, is an entirely different perspective. We'll see you 1 week from now as we head to the circuit of Marco Simoncelli. This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.